Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Taking a minute. Oh, there we go. There we go.
It's on G. G's live.
We're ready to go?
Hello?
Yep.
Hello? All right.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Because you want it,
Hello.
we are live once again. Snack, Crackle, and Pop here in the studio. Welcome to Gas Digital. This is Slick and Thick, your favorite end of the Monday. If you made it this far in Monday, the week's already half over, folks. Enjoy. To my left, at
Hello.
6'3", 200 pounds, and every one of them is a problem. The master of punks, the tamer of sages, the king of the ring. And believe it or not a single bit of product in that hair. It naturally comes like that. The one, the only, Mickey Gall.
Hello. Hello.
Well, yeah, happy President's Day.
Yellow.
Yes, it's a nice George Bush impersonation that you're doing there.
Is that?
I don't know, kind of, maybe.
You
Maybe
thought
a little
so?
bit.
My grandpa used to answer the phone and go, yellow.
Yellow, that's a big white guy thing. Big white guy thing.
He's Italian, so it's almost the same thing.
Well, he's been white for about 50 years. Congrats.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yellow's a big one. What's another big one? Hi there. Hey,
Yeah.
big white guy stuff.
Yeah.
Just naturally inherent white guy stuff.
Yeah.
Patrice,
Where else are you going with this?
Patrice O'Neal had that great bit back in the day, R.I.P. the great one, Patrice, that's just now making the rounds on the internet where he's like, I'm friends with a lot of white guys, and they all have the same look when they see a nice butt. Give you the nod.
I've seen that look before.
That's a nod.
I've seen that look.
Hey.
Yeah, it's a good look.
That's the
It's a
look.
good look.
You know what it is? It's a sharing look. You don't just want to take it for yourself. You want to make sure, hey, see that thing over there?
Yeah.
It's all right.
I know whenever Richie P's around, if there's a hot girl anywhere in the premises, he's going to let you know. Anywhere, if there's one,
Yeah.
hey, you see that? Like, what? He's like,
Dibs.
it's like 40 knots northwest. You're like, what? No, you're right. I didn't see that.
He's a truffle hound.
Yeah,
He's like
exactly.
going through the
A
forest.
truffle hound. Yeah, He'll sniff him out.
Yeah, a little truffle
Shout out
pig.
Richie P.
Shout out Richie P. I got some balls calling him a truffle pig, huh?
Yeah, right.
Anyway, a lot to talk about this President's Day, Mick. A lot of people off today, man.
Yeah.
A lot of people off today.
I was scared my PT was going to be off today.
You would have had PTSD?
I would have PTSD for sure.
Yeah.
I'd have been so mad.
What'd you work? Today's a big day for your PT.
Lots of PT.
The road to
We
recovery.
PT'd it up.
Yeah.
We did we stepped up the PT. I got like a nice little pump going. I was a little sore. I started to feel maybe a couple 2-3 endorphins.
Ooh, some dopamine,
little
drip.
dopamine. It's like, geez, about time.
It's fun. It's
I've
fun
been
watching you.
sober.
Yeah, it's fun watching you on the side of watching other people play, and you just be like, I want to.
I know. I have to almost like time it out. Like I'm like, all right, man, 1 more minute of watching. All right, I'm out of here. Like, see ya. I'm out.
You're out there
gotta
coaching.
leave.
You're out there coaching these guys up, getting a little more handsy, a little more aggressive, a little more. It's like, come on, buddy. No, don't do it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was good you were there the other day. Except Ong had my back too, but I didn't even realize I was like even doing too much.
It wasn't
you said the same thing.
It wasn't you. It was the guy who was going. It's not, but it's just you basing out and just like normal stuff.
You gotta protect.
That's all. That's all, man. Yeah. And then I tried to go easy with Ong, but there was a weight issue there. There was it was a physics issue.
Yeah, a little bit.
Little gravity issue.
A little bit of gravity.
Little gravity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not real good with soft.
A little bit of soft. People learning the moves. They don't need 300 pounds on them.
Yeah. Well, oddly enough, I was trying to go very easy.
Yeah.
But sometimes when, you go easy, you're not really like in total control of yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like you're going easy. Anyway.
Yeah. Big boy.
R.I.P. Ong.
Boy.
R.I.P. Ong.
I was going to Thailand today.
Dude, he is a beast. Watching him kick the bag is something.
Bro, he kicks like a mule.
Watching him kick the bag is like you see everybody kick the bag, and there's just some guys, the impact is different. Ong's impact is a little bit different.
Yeah. Know who else used to kick like a fucking mule? Dan Miller.
Really?
Dan Miller would kick like a mule. Barely ever use it in his fights, but I don't kick much of mine. I kick pretty hard, but I remember like I don't kick as hard as Ong. I don't kick as hard as Dan.
Another
Those guys
big
kick like mules.
Jersey legend Jim Miller fought this weekend.
Jim Miller
Absolute
fought.
legend.
I am very biased because Jim is like a big brother, but I thought he won that fight.
It was very close.
I thought he won that
Very
fight.
close fight. Do you think
I was watching. We were out on the boat.
Out on the
I was like,
boat?
no, I was watching this.
We were on the boat.
Yeah.
You were locked in.
I was locked in.
Yeah.
Had to see what happened.
That's dedication.
Setting records. Every time he's in the cage, he sets a new record.
How many fights in the UFC has he had?
I don't know, bro. Like, how many fights? Probably like 50 or something.
No.
Like, I think like 47, 48, 49.
In the
is, like,
UFC?
number. Yeah.
Golly.
Something like that. Hold on, ready? We should. I didn't know we were going to talk about Jim Miller.
So
Pull up some Jim Miller.
We're up to UFC 150, and Jim Miller's been in
Jim
1/3
Miller's
of the
stats.
UFCs.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
We're not, what? UFC 150? We're at 284.
I'm joking.
Oh.
It's a joke.
Oh, fucking
Jim Miller
hilarious.
has 53 fights.
In the UFC?
No.
Golly.
But he's in the 40s, at least. Jim Miller, UFC fights. Here we go. See who gets it first. 40.
40 fights in
41.
the UFC. Wow.
41.
41 now, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's an OG.
That's going to be a tough record to beat.
JF&M, bro. Jim fucking Miller. Yeah, he's a man.
Yeah, and he's competitive in every single one of those things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
Was
And,
he,
you
was
know,
he,
his brother
was he an
Dan.
Army Ranger or
Speaking
something?
of, no, he wasn't. He's just like an outdoorsy, like hunter.
Gotcha.
His brother Dan. Speaking about being in it with everyone, people forget about Dan Miller. Dan Miller was like one of my first like pro like training partners that I would like get to work with. Right. Speaking of Richie P, like me and Richie P became friends, helping Shark Tank Dan to get ready for some of his fights. He fought the who's who of 185 and went to a decision loss with like every single one of them. Wow. But like had dope fights. He fought Chael Sonnen, Michael Bisping, Damian Maia, Rusumar Palhares, Nate Marquardt, and on and on and on. All those like the top and
Paul Harris is a lunatic for people that don't know. Like,
yeah. Actually, in that fight, Paul Harris got Dan in a submission hold, or he might have like ground and pound him like once or twice, and then jumped up on the cage, and the ref was like, "What
are you doing?
We didn't waive the fight." I think that's like the only time that's ever happened.
Nothing is over.
Paul Harris and Dan. I think Dan starts to start grabbing him off the cage. And the ref is like, "Well, wait, time out." Like, yeah, the fight's not over, but you can't imagine Dan just like pulling his ass down.
Suplex City.
Yeah.
Wow.
Slam him down.
That's wild.
Yeah. So what are some of the topics you're trying to talk about today, Big G?
Well, you had a great one that you sent me the other day.
I got these yearbook quotes.
Yeah, coming up on spring break for these kids, man.
Is that what time of year it is?
It's about spring break, isn't it? It's about spring break time.
Oh, shit.
Spring break, senior year is about, that's it. That's basically graduation, and then senioritis kicks in.
All right, now you talking about high school or college here?
I'm talking high school. High school here. Spring break college, some people still got to graduate. They don't want to be fifth year.
Did you go somewhere for spring break in high school?
No, I was always playing baseball.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, anyway, it's like imagine like having to, like, I guess they'd all need like fake IDs or something.
That was
like,
the thing,
to try and come down and have some fun, go somewhere,
Absolutely.
All right, so I'm going to hit you with some inspirational yearbook quotes. Ready? The first one is, "It's not enough that I should succeed. Others should fail."
Chinggis Khan over there.
Kevin Chang, close. Shout out, Kevin.
Shout out Genghis Khan.
Another one is, "Bruh, we just graduated just to go to school again."
That's how you know dude got into a state school.
Oh, here, this one I like. Or you're going to love this one, G. "My prediction for year 2020 is that everyone will live peacefully and they will cure every disease there is."
Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it.
Sorry, this Kevin Singh was a little off. Ooh, I like this one. There's some player shit for you guys. Ready? "You can catch flies with honey, but you can catch more honeys being fly."
Hey.
Keegan Large up in this piece.
Oh, Keegan.
All
got
right.
game.
Connor, here we go. "Waking up is the second hardest thing in the morning."
Yeah,
Don't let that go over your head, boy.
That's high school, buddy. That's high school for sure.
Waking up
That's
is
high
the
school
second
in a
hardest thing
nutshell.
in the morning. In a nutshell, huh? All right, I got
Who's
one
that
more
guy?
for you.
Who said that?
Who said that?
Yeah.
Connor Hart.
Old sticky sheets Connor over there.
Yeah. Old stiffy Connor. Now from Riley Merritt. Our parents had sex the same year, so that's awesome. yeah. All our parents, yeah.
Everybody you know was born 9 months from Christmas or Valentine's Day. What did you have a yearbook quote, Ben? Do you remember what your
born in
yearbook
January.
quote was?
What you talking about, bro?
I do. It was kind of philosophical.
It was?
Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift, and that's why we call it present.
Hey,
all right.
Yeah.
All right.
Ben went
Good,
Pinterest.
and Ben.
He went full
Good,
Pinterest.
and Ben.
Well, hey, I'll
Good,
tell you a little
and Ben.
backside about it. It's from, I like Kung Fu Panda. It's actually from the movie Kung Fu
Word
Panda.
up. I
So
like
When
that's
G's
it.
on the
Yeah.
mats, he reminds me of Kung Fu Panda. Out there rolling around.
Oh man, he had some crazy cardio for
Like
his size.
like a Jack Black.
Like, I'm like, yeah, Jack Black's older brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jacked Black.
Jason Momoa, bad portion control Black. Yeah, we'll work on that.
Yeah. We'll
Omri.
edit that one out. I know this is live, but let's edit that out, guys.
Omri, did you
For
guys
my
have
friends.
yearbooks in Tel Aviv?
We did have yearbooks. My quote is about 12 lines long because that's what they let us do. And if you read the first letter of each sentence, it spells out there is no God.
Jeez. Why didn't you just say that? If that's just how you feel, why didn't you just say that? Why'd you have to sneak it in there?
He's doing anagrams over here. Well, you can
Would they
tell
have
that
not
was a good
allowed
school.
you? Would they have not allowed you if you just wanted to say that?
I have a friend that did the same thing, but it spelled out marijuana, and they canceled that one.
Holy moly!
Okay.
In English? Was this in English?
No, this was in Hebrew.
So in Hebrew, wow.
I saw in one of the yearbook things I saw this guy did Morse code and it just spelled out fuck.
Nice. I like
But
that.
it was like really long, so you had to it would have been a lot of work
Yeah.
just to get those.
Do you
4
remember
letters.
what was your yearbook
I
quote?
don't.
Do you remember?
I did. I definitely would not have taken the time to put a yearbook quote in.
Yeah.
I mean, someone's got to check that yearbook. But as far as I know, I do not think I put a yearbook quote in.
I have a quote, but I forget. And I think at the time I thought it was very philosophical and salient, but now I would think
Probably
it's probably
cringe.
very cringy and pretentious. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably like, believe in your unlimited human potential. We can change the world, and something like that, but also, don't show up for any classes senior year and try to bang every cheerleader possible. That's,
In a nutshell, again.
yeah. If you had to write a yearbook quote now, if you had a yearbook quote the day you turned 30, what would your yearbook quote be?
I don't know. Probably like something like maybe like my my Instagram one. Like, we're all gonna be dead in 100 years, so like, you know what I mean?
The
Fucking enjoy shit.
happiest,
Don't
most
fucking
optimistic guy
don't
I know
fucking-
is
hey,
like, you're going to die.
think of it's yeah. What do they call that? Mementi mori.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember death.
That's
It's
right.
important to remember death. Makes you not take the dumb shit so serious.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know,
It definitely fueled my alcoholism for a long time.
it did. So
Yeah.
you kind of went the other way on it. You were like, fucking nothing matters.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the loser way.
That's the loser way?
Yeah, you want to do as much dope shit while you're here as you can.
And that's why they'll never remember your name.
Exactly. You got to do as much cool shit as you can when you're here.
Yeah,
that's what remember death means.
I'd probably kind of go along that way, too. I'd be like, hey, buddy.
Is that like a nihilistic look? Is
A
that
little
would that be
bit.
called nihilism?
But you're like
Where
an
nothing-
optimistic nihilist.
No, I'm saying you.
Am I a
way.
nihilist? I'm not a nihilist.
But you saying that you remember death, so that just made you just
I'm
drink all the time.
probably somewhere in the intersection of on my best days, I'm a stoic, and on my worst days, I'm a pessimistic realist, cynic. On my best days, I'm a stoic, and on my worst days, I'm a cynic. So somewhere between cynicism and stoicism. You know?
Elaborate.
Oh, are you familiar with stoicism?
Of course. I've listened to meditations.
Yeah, so, the idea of understanding why you're feeling what you're feeling and stoicism is being in complete control of your emotions and environment as much as possible, right? So it's not denying the truth or, it's just trying to be really in the moment with stoicism. Like my favorite one.
So I got an issue with stoicism first.
Okay.
They say like you should be in control of like all your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
But if like I went up to you in your ear and like they say like no one should be able to make you feel anything.
Yeah.
But if it just goes to your ear, it's like, I like everyone on this podcast is like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get fucking annoyed.
Yes.
So yeah, I got annoyed.
So
you made me annoyed.
Yeah,
I
so-
made you annoyed. Whoever's listening to this.
So you can affect my environment, so then I have to either eliminate myself from the environment or eliminate you from the environment.
That's stoicism?
That's stoicism.
I don't think that was Aurelius.
It's a very pragmatic approach. So it's
stoicism all Aurelius.
So it's what's bothering me. No, it starts with Plato, or at least they say Plato is the father of stoicism. But it's like, okay, it's just being pragmatic in your approach. It's say, all right, instead of getting upset, instead of losing my temper, instead of doing all the things that made me do all the dumb shit I did when I was younger, let me analyze, let me self-evaluate. All right, what about this is really bothering me? All right, and then what do I do about it? And that's kind of it. It's the process behind your emotions.
Right.
Right? So like, all right, this girl is talking to this other dude. I thought we were talking. Why does that bother me? Well, she's a whore. Is she a whore? Or are you just really insecure that now you've got competition? And if that's not the case, then she really is like making you going out of her way to make you feel insecure. Well, you got to remove yourself from that environment.
Sure.
So that's kind of it. So if everybody's going, ree, 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 I have to evaluate what I did to cause that.
But I can.
And stop. Or I have to remove.
These people listening did nothing. I just decided to do it to them.
So then I have to.
Because I could just be
I have to eliminate
mental
you.
terrorist.
I have to kill you. I have to eliminate you. and I don't have to feel bad about it, though, because I gave it the opportunity.
Well, so if someone makes you start to feel emotions, then you kill it. I feel like this is your own little stoicism.
Look,
you have to kill someone only when they start, hey, you're making me feel emotions.
Marcus Aurelius has his interpretation.
This is yours.
Gerard Michaels has his.
This is your own modern day take on stoicism.
I think so. Remember, I did say I was a cynic. Yeah. And I've also never once claimed to be one of those, pacifist libertarians who believe in the non-aggression principle.
Yeah, you're definitely not that. You're definitely a cynic. You should have heard, Gerard, you have been getting so ready to go off politically in the past. I've been watching the little group chat you, me, and Omri got, and I'm like, negativity. I was like, he's going to try and go off.
I don't want to go
loves
off.
it. Omri's loves to fuel the fire, too.
Because Omri's lived the real world, man.
So what does that mean?
This world ain't all fucking butterflies and
all right,
lollipops,
but also it definitely doesn't need to be doom and gloom.
Not every one of us.
For 93% of the podcast.
Hey, listen, not every one of us wake up in the morning and don't have to put fucking shit in our hair to look good, buddy. Okay?
I hop in the ocean, baby. I just let the natural seas do my hair, right?
Not every one of us has been a fucking, a national icon since they were 24 years old, bud. Some of us have had to shovel shit here, man.
All right. So what do you think I was doing till I was 24?
You were on a bread truck for like 11 hours.
I drove a bread truck, but what do you think? You think I just woke up and got put in the UFC?
Yes.
I just woke up and got put in the UFC.
They just rolled over and they were like, "Hey, what's this guy do?"
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. He's done jiu-jitsu for like a day. Give him
That's
a go.
it. So I did one day jiu-jitsu before. Everybody has to.
I can see Mick preparing to eliminate G from his environment right now.
So I had a coach, and nothing in this world pissed me off more than this, and he meant it to inspire his fellow Latins. So it was in rookie ball, and there was only 4 Americans on the team, and everybody else was from Latin America. And they were coming in, they were all fucked up all the time, and our coach, all of our meetings were in Spanish, even though we played right here in Florida, which was one wild. 2, I knew enough Spanish to understand what he was saying, and he was berating everybody and going, do you know how easy these guys have had it? These guys woke up one day and they decided they would play baseball. Tomorrow, if they want to stop, they'll read a book and become a doctor. They'll read a book and become a lawyer. They're going to be fine for the rest of their lives. You Latinos, this is all you have. And the fact that you're getting outworked by these gringos is a joke. You should be embarrassed. You should be embarrassed for your country folk. Okay. And he's having this conversation. He's my manager having this conversation. And I'm just sitting here like, man, he really believes this.
Yeah.
He really believes this baseball thing's just a hobby for me. And if it doesn't work out, oh, well, I'll go be a doctor. It doesn't mean anything.
All right. Check this out, though. This brings it right back to the little argument we had on the podcast a few weeks ago. I'm sitting here talking about being positive, and you're like, me and Omri, we had to do the real world.
Yeah.
God made us fat, and we're fucking everything it's just not fair. That mindset's going to keep you there. That shit, I didn't know I was going to be the shit. before I even was. You gotta know you're the shit. You gotta know. It's the same thing we talked about when we talk about manifestation.
Yes.
And when you were talking, Omri would never be able to be a basketball player.
There's nothing he can do.
Listen, you know, if Omri every day was up shooting and stretching and jumping and aspiring, trying to grab the rim, I guarantee you Omri's gonna be at least 6 inches taller. His bones are gonna fit what his mind is telling him he has to do. He's gonna stretch out and he's gonna grow, and he would be taller.
All right.
I promise you.
Omri, we're gonna have to try this out over the next 2 years.
Think about it. We're
gonna track
go for it. I
progress
guarantee Omri can grow. If he really was jumping every day and trying to touch rim.
Yeah.
I guarantee.
Do you believe in The Secret? Are you one of these guys? You believe in The Secret?
I don't even know the exact. Like, I've never read The Secret or read the book, but I've read
For
Think and Grow
somebody that
Rich,
calls it
and
a
I fuck
secret,
with that.
It's very not much a secret.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but it kind of was. Mm-hmm. It's basically, if I'm understanding correctly, the same thing as the Think and Grow Rich.
Yes.
Is like, if you have like that desire and that focus, and your
the universe
your
provides.
vibrations and your brain waves can create your reality, right? What fuck you threw me off now talking about specifying it.
You believe in like this manifestation, the law of
So
attraction.
what I was saying before was, you know how like but also like how a lady will lift a car up when her child's underneath it. That's showing that people are capable. If we can't tap into all of our brain. We could try. Could you imagine how much you could you say like manifestation is a repackaged prayer.
I do believe manifestation is a remarketing of prayer.
But maybe there's something to that shit.
Oh, there's
maybe
definitely
when you know what I mean? Like if you have hyper focus and have a desire and have like that burning desire going for shit, you know what I mean? You're gonna make shit happen. If Omri was out there trying layups every day, I bet he grows taller. If when that kid's stuck under the car, that woman became stronger. Things can happen.
I agree with you and I disagree with you. I agree with you that on two things specifically that are very powerful about that. I believe self-talk becomes realization. I believe if you're negative in your self-talk and if you're negative in your outlook, you do attract negative.
Yeah, slap yourself in the face and go, no. Say no out loud. Stop that shit and refocus your mind. Because you could just do it. You could do it, you could let junk bullshit happen. You could let the world affect you, or you can affect the world and affect at least yourself.
100%. That I agree with. And that goes back to kind of the stoicism of, controlling your environment. Okay, like, what's really going on here? And am I upset by what's happening? Am I going to allow myself to be a victim of circumstance, or can I overcome my circumstance? All right, and then become very process-oriented. For a guy like me, and there's also a difference in personality, like...
But a cynic listening to me right now, like, whatever, and just gonna keep, thinking bullshit, and their life won't get any better. People, I just got no luck. Yeah, you're gonna keep having no luck because you're perpetuating that.
Maybe, but also a guy like you being around a cynic is very important. Like from the Billy D episode, right? Like he was acting out. That dude needed a hug, and the only way he can get any positive reinforcement was when he fucked up. And somebody was like, dude, you're so much better than this. You're fucking throwing your life away. And he's getting that dopamine in that minute. Like, man, that guy thinks I'm better.
So there should be more people like that putting that energy out in the world.
Yeah, there is. There should be. But it's difficult. This world beats people down, man. This world beats people down, Mick. And saying that they're not tough enough or like, that doesn't work. When when you've gone bankrupt, when you fucking have lost a kid, when the world beats people the fuck down.
100%.
So I understand. Where I come in is understanding where your positive worldview is better, but understanding from a cynic's perspective how easy it is to turn it off. Because it's like, it's dandy, it's raisins and candy, and like, I need a process, man. Like, okay, what's the process? Okay, like, it's one thing like, hey, you can do this. Okay, great. How do I do it? That's where everybody fucks up. Everybody says, you can do this. All you got to do is really believe. No, what you got to really do is you got to wake up early. You got to hit the gym early. You got to get your finances fucking right. You got to get control of your life. And you got to do these things incrementally.
Right. Belief and faith, there's that is huge. Even when shit's down and negative, that you have to believe that there's going to be a better day and that things are going to get better.
It's hard to do, man.
Well, you got to do it, or you're going to probably stay in that spot. And yes, having also practical steps to take. Of course, you can just sit there and believe all you want, but if you're not taking action towards that, then it's not enough. All those things have to work together, but all those things got to be firing.
Sure.
Right. And but I don't agree that just saying yeah, everyone's got their shit. Everyone's got tough luck and suffers loss and suffers, all bankruptcy, losing people, all the shit you're saying. Everybody does. But you could choose to stay down from that, or you could choose to rise above that.
Yep.
Right?
I'm agreeing with everything you're saying. Where I go to disagree is in two ways. One, I can believe things will get better and just don't know how.
You don't need to necessarily know how.
You definitely need to know how. Yeah, and you have to figure out who does and get around them.
You don't necessarily.
Tell me why.
Just because you don't.
You can't just sit there and be like, well, today's going to be a good day, and just sit there and wait for a good day to
Okay,
happen.
you can't. That's what I just said.
So
I just said that. You got to take steps, yes.
But what are those steps specifically?
You can figure it out. You can figure it out. Go outside. Take literal steps.
People that are in the depths of this shit, my brother, they don't know half the time that they're in the position that they're in
how about
because
this?
they didn't know.
Steps. Take steps. Go get outside in the air and go walk around. Let your mind go. You'll start thinking about thinking about your shit. You're thinking about like, all right, why am I feeling this way? What can I do to change that? You'll start figuring out. Those answers will come to you. Everything out there is all within. You don't need to get around a person. There's no fuck all these gurus and all this bullshit. That they're just another man. You figure your own shit out.
Yeah, but other men know what they're doing. Like,
sure,
it's like watching
there's
somebody.
Always, yes, you can gain from that, but I bet you could gain even more from yourself.
Yeah, this is where you lose me.
Yeah, well,
This
you're a
is
fucking cynic.
I am, but I'm also like, you're going to tell somebody that's living, a single mom in the south side of Chicago working 2 jobs, hey, all you got to do is go for a walk.
Well, she's out there working 2 jobs.
Yeah, on a treadmill. Life can't get better. She has no time.
There's plenty of things she could do.
Okay, tell me.
She could have went to NBA All-Star Weekend.
She better. So number 1 is get herself in shape.
Oh, no, I was just saying just go have a nice time.
she can go to Magic City in Atlanta.
Yeah, just go have a nice little vacation.
Just have a little vacay, you know?
Yeah. Come down with a...
I think the positive attitude is incredibly important. I've seen people maintain a positive attitude in life, and over the time, now that I'm a little bit older, they age much better. Stress and cynicism ages people in really negative ways, and I've seen that now. I've seen people I love grow up in a really pessimistic, kind of that, born to lose frame of mind, and people that are the same age look 20 years apart.
Right.
It really does have an effect. I get it. I just think that there's more to it than,
Than the 20 different things I just said? There's a lot. I gave a lot of like room.
I think there has to be structure to that, I guess would be what I'm saying.
Agreed.
Yeah, there has to be structure.
Agreed. It's got to be disciplined, and it's not going to be easy. No one said anything's going to be fucking easy.
Yeah.
Because nothing good really ever is.
I don't know, man. You ever eaten a donut? It's pretty fucking easy.
I don't really eat donuts.
It's pretty good. You should give a donut a go. Omri, what do you think about donuts, bud?
Yeah, why don't you two guys talk about fucking donuts?
Ben, you had a
little
donut,
bit?
buddy? Is a donut difficult? Is it difficult to consume a donut?
No, it's
No, but does it really make you feel that good?
Has this fucking guy ever had a donut? Is that
Bro, I've had plenty of Boston cream in my day. That's my favorite donut.
Oh, I love the apple fritter. Oh, buddy.
That's good. Yeah, it's like an apple pie but with donut covered. Yeah, it's good.
Good stuff.
I go Boston cream though.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, all day.
Well, the one down here, they got the peanut butter and jelly. I've never had that one before. That's outrageous.
Ben, favorite donut?
Ooh, favorite donut. I'm a jelly guy. I like the jelly donuts. I'm okay.
That's a great one.
I'm a good with.
That's a fantastic one.
Jelly
Yeah, I
donut.
want a
Pretty
little
hard.
something. I want something in it.
There's
too,
only
you know
one
what I mean?
thing I don't like about the jelly donut. Can't dunk it in the coffee. Don't like the jelly in the coffee.
You put your apple fritter in a coffee?
I do, and it's delicious. Little cinnamon, little sugar, little glaze.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's good about cinnamon.
Boston cream.
No, it's good about cinnamon though.
What's that?
Especially if you're going to eat all that sugar and carbs.
Yep.
That'll cinnamon regulates your blood sugar, so it'll make it sustained energy after longer time. You won't crash as quick. So yeah, if you're gonna eat if you have like a meal with a lot of like carbs or sugars in it, Just throw some cinnamon back. Throw some
Really?
cinnamon back.
Like, did we get that? Gas Digital?
Yeah, fuck.
Gas
I
Digital, did we
did it,
get
I
that?
knew.
Where we at, guys? Where we at, Internet?
Fuck you.
Omri, we got a favorite
Shit,
donut,
they got
buddy?
cinnamon pills, too. Can I do that? So I'm just spraying them.
I like apple cider donuts. Apple cider with like
when you're going apple picking with the missus, a little apple cider donut. Shout
100%.
out.
Yeah, maybe don't eat donuts if you're feeling sad and you're feeling like if you can relate to all that G's saying.
Step one,
Don't eat a donut.
maybe eat the apple.
Eat some water.
Not the donut.
Eat some water that day and go for a walk.
You're not sad. You're just fat. Mickey Gall. Depression isn't real. Do a sit up. Mickey Gall.
Go outside. Take a nice little brisk walk.
Sponsored by Mind Altering Zippix.
Oh, I meant to bring you Zippix today. I forgot.
I do love these Zippix.
I know. I
It's almost
grabbed
like
them
they're
too.
addictive.
Yeah, it's something like that.
It's almost like that.
Yeah, addicting to feeling good in your brain, having the dope brain.
So, do you think the way that we teach our kids and educate our kids leads them into this kind of feeling of hopelessness, or the opposite?
No, I think.
Do you
Well, I think a little
re-
bit. I think a little bit that.
But also the other side of it, where I come from, are we not teaching kids to think critically, which is kind of what you were saying before, and everybody's told this is what you do and this is the order
Well, it's
you
a
do
little bit
them
of
in.
both. I think being like we've talked about being stuffed into a desk and told like you raise your hand if you want to this that like kids have like are free. You know what I mean? Like kids are, especially kids before they're like affected by the world.
Very
like
creative.
Yeah, kids gonna be very
Remarkably
creative and naturally happy.
Moving.
That stuff comes when. Is there any like depressed like 7-year-olds?
No.
I
But
don't
actually,
think so.
it's interesting that you put it like that. Now that you put it like that, it really makes me
Because people they get stuffed down by the world, but
tamed. The word I'm using is tamed.
or
It's
just
like
whatever, stuffed down,
elementary school.
teased. They're told they get bullied about something, and then they start becoming like self-conscious and certain things like that.
Well, that's just the
But-
world, though.
Exactly. And it goes back to the point. You could stay down and stay affected and stay down by that and be like, all right, I'm going to act like I'm someone different so I could fit in and do different shit like that. Or you could just go and be yourself. That's the other thing when people trying to be like other people and they lose their own individuality. I know I'm probably sounding like a broken record, but like everybody has their own individual attributes that they're going to be superior than others and deficient in others. So, but if you're the only person you could be the best as being your own best self, right?
Yes, but I also think that there's I think you can maximize your capabilities.
But I think children are themselves, and then after a while, the world starts screwing with them, and some people are able to like kind of figure out and get back to themselves and elevate, and some people are just kind of stay beaten down.
Correct, but again, going back to what you said earlier, this is where I diverge from your thinking, right? I think you can maximize your capability. I think Omri, if he practiced every day for 2 years, like you're talking about, could become the best basketball player he could possibly become. And that still is not going to be good enough to be in the NBA. And the fact that he took that much time to do that probably stole away time of something that he would be the best in the world at. I think everybody could be the best in the world at something.
We live pretty long nowadays. You can have several lifetimes.
Spoken like a guy who doesn't eat donuts. I'm on
You're
borrowed time, homie.
You're on the back nine, huh?
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
For sure, I'm on the back nine.
Yeah. We're
Yeah.
not seeing a 70 out of you.
Man, it would
Well,
be.
you've been being a whole lot healthier.
Yeah, but it's more of a genetic thing. No, we're here for a good time, not a long time. Like my Irish clan.
Your people.
Yeah, yeah, we are a good time,
Yeah.
but we're not the last ones at the party.
Yeah, you're like a firework.
Yeah.
Quick out of the thing and
In more ways than one,
Sizzle.
but
yeah.
yeah, that's why I'm single.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
yeah, it happens
it's a compliment.
to her, right?
To her, it's absolutely a compliment.
Wow, compliments to the chef.
Absolutely, yeah.
Enjoy
If
the
you
meal.
if you come fast, you should be like, "My lady, hats off to you." it's not, you know what I mean? Like, that's on you. Don't be so good if it
Hit him with a lady. Well, I don't want to. I know you're busy. I don't want to jam up your schedule here. I'll just be hitting the old dusty trail. Give us a call Tuesday. We could probably fit this in around lunch.
Yeah. Fit this in for another 13 and a half seconds or so.
Depending on traffic.
Yeah.
I tend to agree, man. I really, really, really have some anxiety about the future.
Oh, well, speaking about how kids are raised.
Yeah.
How about those Chinese kids who are like 8 or 9 years old, like assembling and disassembling guns?
Oh, my God. I saw this. This is insane. Ben, can you pull this up? Omri, can you pull this up? These guys are sitting in an elementary school class in China. I verified it with Nancy. I thought it was like propaganda. Maybe it was North Korea. That would make some more sense. But apparently it's in China, according to old Nancy Pants. And these kids are putting together and taking apart 9mm and Glock 22s in elementary school with proficiency.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at our elementary school being taught to hate their fathers, be as passive as possible, and don't stand up for yourself. And
it's not going to fare well for us
yeah.
in a world war if this continues.
If you want to fit in, cut your dick off, maybe. That's what the cool kids are doing. I don't know. There's nothing wrong with it, I guess. That's what they tell me. But I just hope the world war happens soon.
Before those kids grow up?
Because I feel like I can handle it right now.
You can handle the world war?
I think so. Better than I'm going to be able to do it in 20 when those kids are out there fucking running
if you
around.
make it another.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm already on the back nine. You're going to put me on the 17th hole of my life having to fend off these kids who have been playing, Red Dawn.
Yeah.
Like, these guys are out there. We were playing Oregon Trail, bud. Like, we know, all right?
Yeah.
You might be a little younger than the Oregon Trail generation. Did you ever ford a river?
I remember like in my first computer class, that was like a game.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is stupid. This is not a fun game.
Do you know what's stupid?
Dying of dysentery. I remember that from it.
I thought that would be a much bigger challenge that I'd have to face in adulthood.
Overcoming dysentery.
I thought dysentery would be a much bigger challenge.
Is that when you shit yourself to death?
Yeah, I think it's diarrhea.
Yeah, death by diarrhea.
Death by diarrhea.
Yeah. Good thing they got electrolyte tablets and whatnot nowadays.
I thought it would be a much. I thought fording rivers and death by diarrhea would be a much bigger plague. But it turns out no, it's just toxic chemicals and derailments and sudden deaths for professional athletes that apparently have always happened forever.
I just saw something about that today actually too. This funeral home director, which I gotta say, great business. Because people are always going to die. Never going to run out of clients. But he was saying in like all his years of doing it, 20 plus years, never saw a 15-year-old die from a heart attack. Mm-hmm. And in the past like month, he's had one every week.
It's fucking unreal.
Yeah, I'm actually going to pull that up. Make sure I got that exactly correct. But I know I just saw it.
You would think if this is happening that our powers that be would be doing everything possible to get to the bottom of it.
I said plus 20 years. In 78 years, they never had a 15-year-old to die from a heart attack. In December 2022, they had one a week for 3 weeks straight.
It's very sad, man. It's very sad.
Wild, right?
It's very wild. And now NBC News comes out like it's breaking news. Turns out studies show that immunity was just as effective against COVID-19 as, and it's like,
I'm falling into the Gerard trap. I'm falling into the Gerard trap.
Comes.
Oh no, the grenade. Oh no. Yeah, and he's Palestine. He's Palestine. Get it?
Why?
Dude.
Why is Joe Biden in the Ukraine before he's gone to Ohio? Why? Can anybody tell me? Why this man is in Kiev and not in East Palestine, man? We had a toxic event, and then they got the balls to tell these people. The air is clean, the water is clean. And then you see that lady. That? Yes! Officially, the White House says the air is perfectly fine to breathe. They denied a request.
For like the first time in 3 years? What?
Yeah, don't wear a mask. There's no need. It's unbelievable.
But we know the water's not clean, and that water goes to so many different people. I realized water is like maybe the most New Jersey thing I say.
Water?
Yeah. It's like almost like an R in there. Water.
If you had any question as to who our ruling class is beholden to, just understand that Joe Biden flew halfway across the fucking globe to sit down with the president of Ukraine before he went to Ohio to see his own people. in the biggest ecological disaster in the history of our country.
You think he's scared to go there? Afraid to get some toxins? What do you think? I mean, he's like Pennsylvania guy. That's like
Delaware.
like in Pennsylvania.
It's
No, I thought he had something to do with Pennsylvania. No.
Delaware. Maybe he was born in Pennsylvania. I don't know. Where was Corn Pop? Was Corn Pop a bad
I don't
dude?
know what corn pop is.
Listen, guys, our government is no longer beholden to us as citizens. They only care about global interests because that's where their money is. And it's not just Biden, and it's not just the Democrats. And you know how I feel about the Democrats. This modern Democratic Party is a bunch of fucking monsters. They're monsters. But it's not just them.
All right, hey Omri, any questions for you? 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 Questions for you?
Yeah. Yep.
When you say us,
Israel.
Yeah. I got a question for you both from Reckon It. This came in before the chat started. Is if you had to watch tranny porn, would you rather watch girl fucks guy or guy fucks girl?
Well,
Like, what kind of tranny porn would you watch?
Well, first of all, I mean, assuming that tranny porn is a gender binary is a no-no in 2023. Come on now.
yeah,
I mean,
and that for that reason, I'm not answering.
yeah, out of
And that reason
protest. God, what do you mean?
I actually don't even. I can't
girl,
honestly.
fuck
My
guy?
brain can't.
Yeah,
quite
what are we
comprehend.
talking about here? Are we talking?
We're talking about. We're talking about.
Are we talking post-op, pre-op, during op?
What we're talking about is, would you rather watch a cisgendered man
Mhm.
fuck a trans man in his pussy,
Yeah.
or
I'm outta
would
here.
you rather watch a trans woman
Uh-huh.
fuck a cisgendered woman in her pussy with her penis?
Honestly, once I heard Omri say pussy, I was just out. I was like, I'm done.
I gotta go trans man into the cis woman because at least there's gonna be 4 boobs there, right? So I mean, you know, it's genitalia ratio. I'm gonna go with the ratio of either way. I'm seeing a piece of deal. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna have to go with the 4 boobs, I guess.
Hey, Omri, any good questions? Instead of
we
playing,
have a- we
would
have
you
a-
rather? I'm sorry, is that what we're doing here?
We have a question. This one's from our old friend Runaway Slav, who apparently has a job with healthcare somewhere,
Nice.
and he says that
I appreciate his dedication to the program.
Yeah, love Runaway Slav.
100%.
Shout out to Runaway Slav.
Yeah, shout out.
he says that when he looks at healthcare providers, often their like mission statement says to regain the public trust in the healthcare system. So the question is it too far gone? What would you do now to bring back the trust of the public in the healthcare system that we currently have, if you can?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I'll tell you what. First of all, how about they just stop lying and take some accountability at some point? Like, that was the whole point with this amnesty thing, you know, and they were trying to get out in front when they knew this news was coming out that they were wrong about everything for years. And if they were even actually wrong, because they knew they were wrong years ago and they were still gaslighting us because it made them very powerful. I don't know. I was talking to Mickey about this the other day, and this was a very difficult thing for me to say. But I'll share it with the audience because I think it's true, and maybe people have something like this in their life as well. I love my mother to death. My mother is the most important person in my life. But if we were in a situation like Australia, where there were COVID lockdown camps, and I tested positive for COVID, and I refused to go to the camp, I am almost certain my mother would turn me in.
For what reason?
I think that
Because she believed like it would help you.
I think that she would think that she is so ingrained that authority is to be obeyed and that the government are the good guys and that, you know, I'm just some rebellious kid that doesn't know what the hell I'm talking about. She would be thinking she would be saving me from me. She would send me to that camp as a political dissident thinking it was what's best for me. I really honestly believe that. So what does this have to do with that question? I'll tell you. I don't know if there can be trust again for those of us who lost as much as we did. For those of us that lost work, friends, loved ones, people died. And we were lied to, and we were bullied. And this wasn't just like a thing where people just didn't know what was happening, Mick. They shut people down while they let their political minions march through the streets. They knew right away that this wasn't the deadly thing that they were telling everybody else was. Don't forget, Nancy Pelosi was going into the shops that she shut down to get haircuts. Chuck Schumer was sharing bottles of champagne with people in the streets while there was supposed to be a deadly...
So it was for everyone else to follow.
That's right. Rules for thee. And it was a political takeover. And it's a coup. And let's not act like it's not. You can act like maybe it was a necessary coup. You can act like, well, Donald Trump was the worst guy ever and we needed to save the country. That's the new narrative. We had to save democracy by not adhering to democracy. I don't think that was necessary. I don't think censorship is ever the tool of the good guy. And I think what happened in Canada is the whole reason why the Second Amendment needs to be held onto with the tightest grips that we have. How their own courts yesterday, and for the 6 Canadian fans that we have, just ruled that it was constitutionally okay for them to seize the bank accounts of those peacefully protesting truckers. So now the government can seize your money if it doesn't like what you're saying about it. The government, there's legal precedent in a Western democracy that the government can shut off your money supply. Your money, your personal assets. This is not the government's, it's yours. It's the hours of your life that you've accumulated through your work. And the government can seize that because it doesn't like what you're saying? It's a very dangerous precedent, man. So to go back to that question, I don't know if there can ever be trust again. And I don't know if there ever should be trust again. But there definitely can't even be an apology. There can't be any forgiveness whatsoever unless there's some acknowledgement of what happened. They won't even acknowledge that they did this stuff. Have you heard a single apology from one Karen? Have we heard one person go, this stuff was a little bit crazy. You know what? I'm a little ashamed. I don't think these people are capable of shame. So why should we give them forgiveness? And why should we give them trust? My rant.
Yes, the Gerard 15-minute political rant.
Your
How
thoughts?
Are you feeling now, buddy?
A little angsty.
My thoughts? How about them fights this weekend?
No, I want your thoughts on
about
this.
them fights
You lived
this
through it
weekend?
too. What are your thoughts?
How about them fights this weekend?
Really, you have no thoughts whatsoever.
Gerard, you just said a whole lot. I don't. I mean, yeah. I agree with what you said for the most part, for sure.
Should we have trust in
I
our
don't.
institutions?
I mean, it hasn't been proven for any reason why we really should, which is unfortunate. It's sad, but
do you think our government?
I don't know if you could believe the current reign, and I don't know what a new reign would make you start trusting them. I think homeboy up in Florida, DeSantis is he seems like a pretty straight shooter, and seems like a lot of his stuff is pretty logical. But I don't know the dude. I don't know the dude.
Yeah.
All these chosen representatives is kind of tough.
Give it time, right? You die the hero, you become the villain, right? So let me ask you very specific to Mickey Gall. Do you trust our government? Do you think our government's telling you the truth?
When you say our government, are you talking about
federal
the media?
Federal government.
And
the federal government. The things that come out of the federal government. Forget the media. The media is bought and paid for completely. It's propaganda and it's a joke.
Right, we know that.
Yeah.
So your question is, do
There's
I trust
I
the
believe
government?
it's 20,
I think it's a lot of times it's fitting an agenda, so to speak. We're not exactly sure what that is. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Sure. But do you trust what the government's telling you right now?
No, I don't trust anything at just face value. You know what I mean?
Could they do to make you trust them? What could big now? In fairness, since I've known you,
I don't know.
You don't trust the nutritional stuff that we've been told. There's
other stuff out there. That's not the food pyramid is not the way.
Yeah, I don't even think that this is a controversial statement, right, Omri? What was the numbers you sent me? 26% of all Americans. 26% of all Americans trust the media.
Yeah, that was 26% of all people trust the news media. just across the board, both like CNN and Fox together, all like accumulated number of people who trust any mainstream media source.
So 1 in 4 people, so 3 out of 4 people don't trust what they're being told. All right? That's a really dangerous thing because now we have more access to information than ever before in the history of our species. And 75% of the people don't trust any of it. Right? And it makes you almost wonder who the fuck those 25% are.
Right, that are just following everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. Anyway, our friends fought this week.
Why does this bother you to talk about it?
It doesn't bother me. It's just do I trust the government straight up? Of course not. Mm-hmm. You know that. Like I think you'd be silly to. I think the 26% who just take everything and yes, okay, yes, I think they're crazy. I couldn't even begin to understand. Mm-hmm. But I can understand how Josh Watson knocked out your homeboy.
Old Greg Hardy. I thought Hardy. Look, it was the second round.
He's a beast, man. Both those guys. That's some big boys.
Hey, listen. You know what, man? This kind of bothers me about the fight game in general, and this goes back to media being shitty, real shitty. They throw that clip out there, and they show that little check left, and Greg down on the ground with his hands up in the air, and it's like, oh man, what happened to Greg Hardy? These are two guys banging.
Yeah, Josh Watson's been around.
Banging.
Yeah, he's a stud.
The second round, these guys were out there throwing hammers at each other, and that's you throw that one punch up there, and it's like, to me, that's so misleading. It's like trash. It's like half of this.
Yeah, it's a highlight. You know, it's just it's hard to squeeze without rolling the whole fight. Yeah, you got to watch the whole fight. You want to get the full story, but
they can cut it in a way where they can show the exchange. I think there's a lot of Schadenfreude in the fight game and the fight fan.
Schadenfreude.
Yeah, Schadenfreude, my favorite word. You know it.
Yeah, I know it.
Schadenfreude.
But not everybody does. So
I think the Gas Digital audience is a loquacious audience.
Ben, you know what Schadenfreude means? And Ben's so smart.
Ben, what's Schadenfreude mean? Give it a shot from context clues.
Comeuppance?
Comeuppance, kind of, yeah, kind of. It's
so you get joy out of someone else's like sadness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you get joy watching someone else fail. It's like, somebody else's struggles. I think that there's a
lot of that in the world. Yeah, definitely in the fight.
I think there's just as many people who are like, ooh, what a cool hook. And they're like, damn, that's a big shot. Just as many people are like, look at that pussy, can't take it left.
Losers like that would like to see someone go broke.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's like the people who watch NASCAR just for the crashes.
Yeah, kind of.
You know, they want to see the wreck.
Yeah.
You know, everybody watched Evel Knievel for 60 years because they wanted to be there when the wipeout happened.
Yeah.
You know, there's that Schadenfreude aspect to your business that, you know.
I think it's a part of life.
Yeah.
Big part of life, yeah.
You think a lot of people watch? Well, I guess so. I guess that's kind of the idea of the NFL is like
even in
hit
football,
stick somebody.
You saw how, and we got no love for the Cowboys.
No love.
You saw how like all those like memes just about Dallas.
Oh no.
Like just about how like who's Dallas playing next
Sure.
week? Oh, no one.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like all those like memes hating on them.
You're so right. I almost like watching the Eagles lose more than I like watching the Giants win at this point.
Schadenfreude.
Aw. Yeah. Aw. Did you not think that was a penalty? Aw. Do you not think you should call that?
Old Bradbury.
Aw.
Giants. We send over Tony for the big Kadarius Tony for the big kick return.
Yep.
We helped the Chiefs.
Young Joker.
Yeah.
Biggest kick return. You think it's punt return in NFL history? You're welcome.
I like when I think Collinsworth said if he had to pick one player in the NFL to play a game of tag, he'd pick Kadarius Tony.
Yeah.
Boy can move.
Boy, he's a jitterbug.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole different level of athleticism, that stop and go stuff, you know?
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, shout out Josh Watson. He's a real one. Been doing the thing for a while. Got his first big fight against a beast like Greg Hardy.
Yeah, I mean that's a serious left bare knuckle, man. Like
yeah, dude, those are big boys.
Those are big boys throwing hands.
Those are big boys.
You know, it's not like the 4-ounce gloves are offering much protection, right? But there's just something about seeing bare
I think
knuckle.
It's more to like almost like protect your hands.
That's what I've read. I've read it's more to protect the puncher, not the person getting punched.
Yeah.
But there's just something
Yeah,
about
that's why people only started dying in boxing when they introduced boxing gloves. And that's also why the old school fighters stand like in a weird karate stance, because they were protecting the body more than they were protecting the head, because bare knuckles, like you will break your hand on someone's jaw. So they were going
the
mostly
top of their
for
head
body.
especially.
Yeah.
Turn that head
So
down.
yeah, so once they started implementing gloves in boxing, people started dying because people started going for the head.
So, Amr, you've been wanting to talk about the Islam weight cutting IV thing,
I did, yeah.
right? What are your thoughts on it?
My thoughts are that Dan Hooker might have something to what he says, and also I've seen pictures of Islam, and he has bruises on his vein on one of his arms. But I've also seen reports that might have been taken a lot earlier, and that was for a blood test for USADA. I would not be surprised since the Dagestanis are notorious for cutting way too much weight.
So, for people that don't understand what's going on, Mick, when you're talking about the weight cutting thing, is this the idea that they're
So you're not under like the USADA and the UFC rules. You're not allowed to like do an IV to after you because like all us guys when we fight
yourself.
we dehydrate like like viciously get to like sometimes almost like death's door, and then you have to like hydrate and eat and you have like let's say like I don't know like 36 hours to get back by fight time from after you weigh in. Right, or probably even less than that.
Yeah,
or like 32. Nah, because you weigh in the morning. You don't fight in the morning. You fight at night. So
okay,
it probably somewhere around 36. But you're not allowed to like go like taking bags of IVs. But that's what Hooker accused Islam of. But I don't know I don't think they can prove it. Like people were saying like, oh, it's gonna have a 2-year suspension, gonna have to give up the belt, blah blah blah. I don't think they could really prove it.
Is that a common practice?
I think it used to be, but I don't think. Now people, people are scared to get in trouble like that.
Got you.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what are the? I've heard.
So I know, like, what weight cutting is weird too. Like, so for the most part, you want to like, so guys will go in at like, let's say you're fighting at, for me, like fighting at like 170, I'll be like 185 fight week. Some guys will be even more. Some guys will be 90. Like the highest I've ever done, I was like 189. Going into fight week.
There's crazy stories about Anderson Silva walking around at like 220, 225 and fighting 185.
Yeah,
right? So.
and you just got to put it's kind of like the same amount. Like guys will be 180 fighting at 55 too, which is like, it's a lot.
That's a really old school wrestler mentality. Do you think that that's still beneficial? Do you think it's beneficial to go down?
I don't know. I think so a little bit since you have the time to replenish and stuff. So then you could be bigger and stronger on the fight day, but at the same time, there's a certain spot where you can tax yourself too much, and that you'll be a shell of yourself.
Yeah.
If you overdo it.
Do you think that cutting that much weight, guys who have bad cuts, you hear about people all the time, like somebody didn't show up on fight night, or he had a bad cut, he had a rough camp. Does cutting that much weight affect the way that you can train for the fight?
No. It's because you can then support your training by eating all the carbs and eating as much as you want to. Support the output by having a big input by putting a lot of calories and food in you could then train harder. But then you have to like on that fight week you're basically like you're just, and some people their end of camp could be, if they're very heavy before, it could just be all about weight management where you're not even working on like your skills and stuff like that. So it's there's kind of a fine line of like certain like where that sweet spot is. I know personally, like I've passed out cutting weight.
That's crazy.
I had kidney failure in one fight.
You had kidney failure?
Yeah, when I fought Diego, I botched my weight cut, and after like a 1 minute into the fight, I could barely like stand on my feet.
Ooh.
Like I barely had balance. And I know I had a friend who lost a fight this weekend who had like kidney issues. Like I know a lot of guys are like have like pulled out because they've were able to realize they had kidney failure like beforehand.
Was that like a hydration issue or like what?
Yeah, like sometimes it could be anything. I think I had I was like a little sick, and I think my body was like either like was like kind of maybe worrying about dealing with that, and then it wasn't worried about the rehydration process as much. But I know like just sitting in the sauna for like too long, like being like, all right, just do 10 minutes. I was like, I could do 20 easy. Yeah. And then I stand up and I was like, you get like a head rush and like, yeah.
You're
put myself
really
down.
there. You're like really on the. I've heard some insane stuff. And the guys almost like, especially guys with that old school wrestler mentality, they almost like wear it like a badge of honor. Like there was one guy talked about, he wanted to get a pint of blood taken out of him. Like it was.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I know there's definitely.
Taking enema.
Then
shit,
yeah. And we can't take like diuretics and stuff like that would help people like dehydrate and stuff. But none of that's just good for you.
Yeah.
You know, and none of it's good for you. Fighting's not really good for you. You know what I mean?
It's an
Think
extreme
about it.
sport.
Fighting's not really good for you.
Yeah.
Neither is cutting weight and doing all that shit. But you know,
I mean, our buddy Phil Heath was talking about the like peaking and stuff like that, how they can mess with people, and those guys are down to like 3% body fat, and if they try to hold on, they can maintain that for the 5 minutes on stage,
right?
And then they have to rehydrate immediately.
Yeah, they probably feel like shit.
Yeah, and like their body will seize up, like they won't be able to walk, like you're
Sure.
literally pushing the body to its limit of functionability, right?
Yeah.
So, I think as adults, look, you guys are pros. That's fine. I get a little weary about the precedent that sets for the kids. You know, like I like the fact that AFL is big and Pop Warner's kind of not anymore, because this idea of taking a 15-year-old and sucking him out to 103 pounds so you can win a national championship, you know,
Yeah, I had to lose weight for Pop Warner as a kid.
to play against 12-year-olds. I mean, like there was guys
play against kids my own age.
that was
Just because there's otherwise you like couldn't play.
yeah.
So I had to like run the track in the morning and shit. I had to lose like 14 pounds.
You could have played in the Freak League in Perth Amboy with me.
Yeah, I wish I did.
Yeah, it was good. That was good football. But, you know, there's kids that are mat rats. I mean, there's a kid I went to high school with. He was 103 pounds all 4 years of high school. There's no way you can tell me that was good for him.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Well, yeah. Like I said, man, it's not good for you. Cutting weight's not good for you. We know that. But, you know, I don't think
Mick,
sitting in
then
the
I
desk is
have
good
a
for
question
you
for
either.
you, Mick.
Yo.
If weight cutting is not good for you, why don't you fight at middleweight, which is like 5-10 pounds away from your walk around?
Well, it's almost like a vicious cycle thing. For me to fight the people like my size and for me to have the most advantage because of the precedent of that we all like kind of cut weight, that I think one day I probably would fight at that. But for now, like I can make 70 easy enough, and where I don't need. It's not like I'm like really on death's door. You know what I mean? But that's just kind of the way it is. That's kind of the way it is. If I was 20 pounds heavier, then I probably would fight a weight class up. You know?
Do you think there should be more weight classes or less?
I think it'd be cool if there was more. I think if they did every 10 pounds.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Like we got 25, 35, 45, 55, and then we go 70, 85, 205. So if we could, and those best weight classes are like 55, 70. That's where like most
There's a
like
jam.
men kind of are. So if you did 55, 65, 75, so I guess you're basically adding one in there. You're turning 70 to 65, and then you add a 75.
There'd be more title fights. There'd be more
There'd be more crossover
Yeah.
fights. Yeah, like more super fights, all that.
Boxing does that, right? Every 10?
Boxing, I think, does even less.
Every 7?
Yeah, and I think the UFC wanted to stay away from that, where there's like, you know, champions that you don't even know. But I think the way the UFC is now, like,
there's not 4 belts. It's not like the WBA. And
Yeah.
like Lomachenko's carrying around 6 belts, and you're like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
What's going
Yeah,
on?
there's like 4 belts for each.
He's the 45 in the WNBA. He's the 55 in the NASCAR. He's the exactly.
Yeah, but I think that'd be cool up to like, I mean, and then it gets at the top. It's like 205 isn't that deep of a weight class. So I don't know where the best line for it is. I always thought a cruiserweight would be cool, like a 225.
Well, I was going to ask, is there a benefit to being smaller?
And what about a no weight class?
Well,
like those guys,
I'm a big fan of the open class.
Like a guy like Greg Hardy.
Yep.
And guys like Brock Lesnar and plenty of other people had to cut weight to make heavyweight because you have
Derek
to be
Lewis.
265.
Yeah. There should 100% be an open class.
I think
the
so
butterbean
too.
class.
I think so too. And then you have crossover fights between the heavyweight and like the super heavyweight or the open weight, whatever you want to call it.
I'll tell you what you'd get immediately is you'd get more crossover athletes from football and from like these guys that walk around at 310, 315 that don't want to cut down to 265.
Though, for whatever reason though, those weight classes seem to be pretty top heavy. And I think it's because like the normal people size. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like you know, like the 155ers, that's why and 145 is a deep division because those guys walk around at like 170, 180, which is like what most like normal males, athletic males would probably weigh.
Yep.
You know?
I think a lot of guys, especially lower weight classes, there's respect for the heavyweights, but they stick their nose up at them a little bit like they're not really They're not really in good cardio. They don't have
Oh,
good technique.
you're just big.
Yeah, he's just big. He's just big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know.
He's just Derek Lewis. He's just big. All right. Well, go fight him.
Yeah. Nah, yeah. I don't agree with that. If that is a thing,
Maybe it's.
I think the
different
heavyweight's
places.
the best is like the best weight. That's the like I say that's the true baddest man on the planet is the heavyweight champ.
Sports are better when there's a badass heavyweight champ.
Mm-hmm.
If John Jones if John Jones goes out and busts up Cyril Gahn, UFC's gonna get some serious juice from that.
Yeah.
Like heavyweights. I mean, even look at boxing. Nobody gave a shit about boxing until Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder brought it back a little bit. Like,
yeah.
Look, and that's no disrespect to Triple G or Canelo or Mayweather. Like, these guys are all time greats, but you have to really be a fight fan. You got to really be somebody that's a fan of the sweet science to be like, I'm going to sit here for 60 minutes, and watch jab, check, hook, run, jab,
Yeah,
jab.
there's some hot fights around like the 130 to 139
Tank.
area in boxing. Yeah, you got Tank, Gervonta Davis, you got Haney, you got Crawford,
Garcia, pretty boy.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of guys.
Yeah.
Shakur Stevenson,
Yep.
Newark, New Jersey.
Oh, Shakur.
Yeah,
And
He's
I
a
like
beast.
And I like Canelo. Like I'm not.
he's like a young Mayweather.
Yeah, but there's nothing like just nothing like watching the big boys bang.
Yeah,
If they'll bang.
yeah.
Like there was nothing back in the day like watching, Tyson Holyfield, the guy parachutes in.
That was Riddick Bowe. Yeah,
Riddick Bowe was badass, man.
yeah,
Riddick Bowe was a bad dude.
yeah.
Who was the other guy? They had TNT Thompson, man, all forgotten heavyweight. Took Lennox Lewis he took
Lennox
Tyson.
Lewis, that
He
was one
took
of my guys.
Tyson.
I think Lennox
and
Lewis is one of
Lewis.
the best heavyweights ever.
I agree.
Avenged all his losses, I believe.
And his losses
His
really
jabs,
only came
sweet.
because he didn't give a shit about training for those fights.
You think?
He admits it. He was filming a movie for one.
Really?
Of them. Yeah, he was filming
didn't know that.
Ocean's 11 for one of them.
What?
Yeah. He was like, I
didn't
trained
know
for like
that.
2 weeks for this fight
Yeah.
because he was filming.
Tyson
Ocean's
did a
11.
little bit of that too. Kind of like maybe out of like conceit a little bit and just living the good life,
How could you not?
Yeah. It's a
Everybody has
dangerous
a
trap,
bad.
man.
Everybody has a bad day at work.
Yeah, he might have the clap when he lost to Buster Douglas. I don't know. Something like
Yeah,
that.
that's what he said. He had gonorrhea, I think.
Yeah.
And he was like, I was all I kept thinking about was I was burning. I had to pee. So big fight in
Yeah.
Japan. Just get this over with. Get my check and go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never had that bad of a day at work.
Yeah.
You
Nah.
know?
No, probably not. Probably haven't.
Never had
You
that
get booed
bad
off
of a day.
stage.
Oh,
You've been booed off stage?
I've never
They
been
booed
booed
you
off. I've never been booed off stage. The worst I've ever had was at Helium in Philly. I almost quit. I probably should have quit after this. It was like a pro-am show. It was like one of those things where it's like they'll bring like 3 bringers and then have 2 like guys that are good. One in the one hosts, one in the middle, and one closes it out, and then everybody else is a bringer. And it was a tough show. And they were heckling these guys bad. And I got up and I'm like, I got into the crowd pretty good. I did all crowd work and I was getting
You
after
thought you were
it.
about to be Bill Burr?
Kind of did. But they didn't boo me. They didn't laugh. They just sat there in silence staring at me. And I made a couple Ferguson jokes, and I thought that they were clever. They didn't. Anyway, so they came up after. They, like 2 guys came up at the bar after the show, and they were like, "Yo, you're pretty funny, white boy." And I was like, "Well, why didn't you fucking laugh, man?" And they're like, nah. Our girl. I made a joke about Ferguson had just happened, and I'd made some sort of dumbass joke about how, the problem isn't cops. The problem is there's not enough fat white women cops. Nobody likes black men more than them. Like that would be, if we really want to, racial harmony, like all the cops should be, 300-pound white bitches.
You got crickets?
Yeah, in retrospect, it probably was a bit too soon.
Yeah.
Maybe didn't read the room properly.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just a poorly crafted joke. Whatever. Shouldn't have let off with it, that's for sure. And then there was no
Yeah, it's coming in hot.
there
dude.
was no coming back. Yeah, I was like, this is an antagonistic audience. I'm going to show them I'm not afraid. Yeah. Maybe I should have made a joke instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, you live and you learn.
Yeah, that's how you learn, pal.
That's how you learn. Yeah, that was, jeez, how long ago was Ferguson? Jeez. That had to be like 7 years ago already. That was a long time.
So when was this that you got silenced off the stage?
That was it.
They just gave you the silent treatment? Yeah, I said when, though?
It was right after Ferguson happened.
Oh,
so how
okay.
long ago was that? It's got to be a long time ago.
Yeah.
That one great. Yeah, that one didn't make the internet. Not putting those clips up.
No.
Those clips don't go up.
You got some shit coming up though.
Yeah, I got shit in April, and then I got something at the end of March. April.
But I mean, you're gonna put some footage out there?
Yeah, I got, but it's I'm still waiting on the editor.
Then you're gonna have to make new jokes, right?
Yeah. I got all the stuff
to write
that we
new
did.
bits.
I did this in November, so I'm wondering if any of the shit's still gonna be relevant. But it's just got to get out there. It looks good. The editor's been taking forever with it, but I'm excited for people to see it.
Do you yell about politics for 15 minutes?
I go back and forth.
Yeah.
You gotta win them over a little bit first, and
You
then
make a couple sillies.
you make like hey, check out little fat guy does stuff. Are we all having a good time? So let me talk about the geopolitical fucking dangers that we face in a way that's both ascertainable and entertaining.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not going over well? So relationships, am I right, you guys?
Talk to me like I'm a 7th grader. I'm sorry, make that a 5th grader.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not ascertaining properly.
They're not ascertaining properly. Listen, here's the trick to comedy, all right? And
Listen, guys, here it is.
This is just the truth of it. I'm going to give you the trick to comedy, all right?
Here it is.
Win over the women first. That's it. That's it. Win over the women. Get on stage and make sure the women, find the table of women and make sure that they like you within the first 2 jokes.
Disarm them.
That's it. Then you can carry, because if they don't like you, look, if I tell Mickey a joke and he doesn't like it, he'll roll his eyes, but he won't try to ruin the rest of the show for me. If you tell a joke and these horrible wenches don't like it, they'll go out of their way to make sure everybody else is having a bad time. Huh?
Why do you think that is?
Well, we let them out of the kitchen, Mick, and that was a big problem. Like, our founding fathers on President's Day, they were trying to be like, you let these motherfuckers vote? What happened here, Ben? What happened here? Huh?
So, Jay, how do you win over women when you obviously hate them?
Self-deprecation. Women like...
they don't want you taking yourself too seriously or
yes.
thinking you
and
think
also,
too highly of yourself.
Yeah, and there's stylistic ways. Like, it's, the biggest... the biggest hack trick in the world is to, do something that makes you look gay or sound gay. Women love all things gay. They love it. Like, if Donald Trump, if you read Donald Trump's,
I bet you could just kind of smile and wink and.
Was that how it goes for you?
Enough. Yeah, probably.
Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah, just give him like a nice little smile and a wink and.
That's TikTok comedy.
Charming.
There's TikTok comedy. It's amazing. All the biggest comedians on TikTok.
I feel you could say like a terrible
thing,
but if you like kind of smile and wink at the end, they kind of like.
Yeah,
we're
you
joking
can.
around here.
So you can get progressively more edgy with the set if you win them over first. If you get them on your side first, you can keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and and then there's that wink, and we're kind of flirt. It's like that energy is a really good show. If they'll let you go, then you're having a great show. There's definitely something to that. That charisma will carry you. But early on, you use the term disarm them, kind of. You're going, especially if you're like, kind of like, a bigger, aggressive looking person. If your set is very confident, if you're not going up there looking meek, you know what I mean? Like, if you have kind of like, who's this fucking guy energy? You know what I mean? You got to kind of like wink and a nod it a little bit, or just got to own it and just Jeselnik, Dice Clay the shit out of it and just fucking go.
Yeah.
And don't relent. Bill Burr, don't relent. Why is it so fucking quiet in here? And then that becomes part of the bit. But that's a tough one for comics starting out because you're not going to get 45 minutes to dig yourself out of that hole.
You're not going to be those guys from the jump.
Yeah, you got your 10 minutes. You got to go up. And first one is, make fun of yourself, make fun of men, and then talk about, how evil these wenches are after that. But you got to get those first 2 out first. Get yourself at least 3 laughs for the gram, guys. All right, young comics starting out. Get yourself, if you got 10 minutes, you do 1 for them, you finish with your closer, and then the middle is new material. And if one of them hits, you got a viral video. Boom, go. Rinse, repeat, go up on another stage.
You heard that, Omri?
Oh, yeah, I heard that.
All right. We got any more questions or comments from the chat?
Let's go to the chat.
That's what, we live, baby. And we're hitting a little bit of a lull.
I have a question from the chat. G, have you ever heard of the basketball player, the Irish Shadow?
The Irish Shadow? Is that Brian Scalabrine? I don't know. Is that
Mac McClung?
Is it Mac McClung?
It's Nico Mannion.
No, I don't know that guy. I don't know that guy.
What about him, Omri? Is that it?
I'm trying to figure it out. Yeah.
All right.
Italian. Why? He's Italian. They call him the Irish Shadow. That's already.
Okay. Yeah. The Irish Shadow. Well, the Greek freak is Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think that's how you say the last name. Did I say that correctly?
I have no idea.
Antetokounmpo.
I just call him Giannis.
Giannis.
Yeah.
What else we got in the chat? When we get to, what do you think, guys? When we get to 3,000 subs, we'll start doing call-ins. How's that sound? 3,000? Pony up for the call-in tech?
Yeah, I'm with it.
All right. What do you got, Omri? Cool, good talk.
I got a
Yeah.
Somebody.
Yeah, who's hitting us with this? In 3.
I thought Ben had a question.
Yeah, I got a question for you. G, if someone were to go ahead and boo you off the stage, how would you go about? Like, what would you do? I want to know.
Yeah, I would think your microphone should be louder than their boos, huh?
Yeah, I don't think I would leave. I'm not fucking leaving. If I got booed off stage, like,
And boot off means you go off.
yeah.
Like you
So
leave.
I got a clip that I can post. San Antonio of last year. I made a joke about why I was happy that Betty White died, and I got booed mercilessly by the crowd for it. But then I circled all the way back to it's because I got hit by the old person driving the car, and I got a standing ovation for the end of the joke. So that was a pretty solid moment. I
All right,
can't
so you
lie.
won
That
them
was
over.
yeah. It was the second show on a Saturday night. It was a big room. I may or may not have had a few beers in me for the second show, and I was like, what do we think about Betty White? Everybody's like, she's a national treasure.
Sure.
And I was like, past tense. So,
Ari Shafir is good at that.
yeah, so yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a good one. That one I literally got booed, but it was playful, and I was able to win him back over. You know, there's nothing better than applause break. An applause break is the comic home run.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than telling a joke, and you hear the laughs, and then they get that second wave of laughter, and then people clap, and like,
Because they're recognizing not only it's funny, but it's like it's brilliance kind of too.
it's just a good room. Like, the room is good, the energy's good. Like, when you get an applause break as a comic, like, that's the closest thing to, like I said, hitting a home run you can have. It's just like, yeah, let me embrace this. I'm gonna walk over to the table, get myself a sip. I'm gonna act like I'm looking at my next joke, but really I'm just like, come on, keep it
You're just
coming.
trying
Come on, get more.
soak it up.
Oh, give me that validation. Oh, give me that sweet validation. Yeah. It's good stuff. Can't wait for it to happen to me.
Yeah, one of these days, bro. You just keep chugging. Keep chugging and plugging.
Just
You
keep
know what I
chunking
mean?
away, bro. Omri, what was well, go ahead.
I got a question for Mickey. This is from C Dumps, and that is, Mickey, have you ever thought about doing stand up?
No.
It's not true.
No, I've never thought of doing
I'm
stand
gonna
up.
get you to host.
I
soon.
could think about it and be like, fuck that. But that's not actually doing it.
I think you'd be all right, man.
Nah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's almost more intimidating than standing across a trained killer having to fight him.
It's you. It's you versus you.
Yeah.
You can't blame that guy. You know, you can't be like, he's a pro too.
Yeah.
You just gotta go up there.
You're just armed with your wit and your jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Who do you think would do better, Mickey in front of the Apollo, or G fighting for a world title in the heavyweight division of the UFC?
Who are you asking, me?
Both of you.
I'd probably do better.
I think we'd both do well for about 35 seconds.
Yeah. I think that's a good answer. I think that's a good answer.
I think we would both. What do they say? Oh man, what's the word? Not compose. You admirably when you like fought hard, you know,
right?
Yeah, whatever
you
that
just
word
go
is.
for it for a little bit.
Yeah. He acquitted himself honorably.
Yeah.
I'd have about 35 seconds of honor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get one liver shot and be like, I get paid, right?
Yeah, you do.
I
You made the walk.
still get paid.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm like Evel Knievel. Paid for the attempt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Great Dave Chappelle. So there you go. Like, even Dave Chappelle, man. Like, that is the crazy thing about comedy, too, is, like, it sneaks up on you. No matter how much you think you've got it, no matter how many shows you do in a row. And you can do the same material night in, night out. If you don't, you just have an off night.
How does that relate to Chappelle?
Because he's gotten booed off stage. He got booed off stage, so he's the greatest probably to ever do it. And, he got booed off stage, and he turned it into one of his best bits. That's the way to do it. When he does that, when he talks about Detroit, how he got high with the rappers, and then he goes out there and he was like forgetting his punchlines. Now, that has happened to me. Kind of happened to me at the
Getting
stand.
high with the rappers?
Kind of happened to me at the stand a little bit. Why I was so pissed off. Like, you had like a little bit too much to drink. You're not like on your edge. You're not sharp. You don't give your punchlines. Maybe they don't know, but you're blowing it. And you're like, now the worst that's ever happened to me is sometimes you really have that B-Rabbit moment and you like blank the fuck out. And you're like, wait a minute. I've told these jokes a fucking 1,000 times. What's my next bit here? Yeah. If you ever see a comic out there like doing crowd work and he's just asking questions or she's asking questions and there's no like bit, they're just buying time for their brain to reboot. So, hey, where are you from? Albuquerque. That's cool. What do you do? Oh, you're an accountant?
Got an airport there.
Cool. Yeah, accountants. Oh, this guy must get laid. Am I right? Anybody else? And they're literally just buying time for their...
Trying to, in their mind...
They're like, come on! Restart!
Yeah.
Restart!
Think.
Unplug, replug. Yeah. There's nothing worse than like...
In the game.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're just like... And then oddly enough, there's that little part of you that's trying to reboot really badly, like really fast. And then there's another little guy inside your head going, I knew you'd fuck it up. You suck. You shouldn't be doing this, you piece of shit. It's about time. It's about time they figured you out, you fucking loser. You fucking fraud. Oh, I tell the same jokes every day. Maybe you should have wrote a joke, you fucking pussy.
How often do you have to write new jokes?
I try to, well, because of how much of this is about followers now. Back in the day, you used to come up with a bit, and it's also different with what you're doing. Like if I was doing like New York sets and I was getting 8 minutes at 4 different clubs, you kind of like work on one bit a night. You have, because you're kind of auditioning at the same time. You can't really go out there and eat shit. Mm-hmm. So you really don't have a lot of leeway to craft new material. All you can do is really hone the material that works and try to improve.
Where can you try shit then? Like, where's like the gym?
It's a great question. I would think,
because I would have thought that would have been it.
No, a lot of people.
What about doing like an open mic?
I think it's the worst.
Where you're not getting paid.
I think it's the worst thing because it's negative feedback. Because the things that are funny in an open mic with a bunch of depressed, drunk, wannabe comics are not going to be funny to the general public. Okay. I think you get false feedback. It depends on what you want to do. If like you want to be a part of the cool kid comedy community, do a whole bunch of mics and then you'll be a quote unquote real comic. I've been doing mics for 10 years. Good for you. If you want to be an actual like go on the road, make money comic,
like get paid and shit.
Yeah, you got to craft material that the public wants to hear, right? And the public isn't going to open mics, No. So
you don't think that's part of like paying your dues though?
I think
that will
very,
translate?
very early on, get on stage, sure. But the advice that I would give to young comics would be run your own show, produce. It's a pain in the ass. It's gonna filter out everybody because you need people to earn their stage time. They get mad as hell when you ask them to bring or you ask them to help or like whatever, and you see how many of your quote unquote friends will just use and abuse you for stage time and won't bring shit to the table. You'll get emails and messages from people asking for stage time, and you'll be like, oh my God, this is not the way you should ever send an avail. There's nothing that will help prepare you for dealing with the business side of comedy like running a room. And if you run the room, I would also suggest you host it. A lot of guys do it to close out and call themselves a quote-unquote headliner. Host the room. Go up 4 times, 5 times that night.
Right.
Have good material early and have good material late, and then work on new shit in the middle.
Yeah, that makes sense because that's almost like you're getting 4 matches a night rather than just 1.
100%. But there's a stigma about hosting. There's a stigma, there's like there's a ton of ego in the comedy community, and there's a ton of like small flexes.
Did you ever see that Kobe Bryant thing? Or he was talking about when he was like first started playing basketball, he had like a long-term plan in mind, and he would in his games he'd be like focusing on developing his skill set,
really?
Right? So there'd be kids who would seem much better than him at like in these games, and then by the time he's like a senior, they're still using the same old tried moves.
Yep.
Right? And
Yep.
he's already developed his left hand, he's developed his jump shot, his layup, his move, his this and his that.
Yep.
Because he thought long term. And that's the other thing, like, because I can relate that to fighting. You can be good at something and just try and win your rounds at the gym every time, which is an easy thing to fall into because it's fucking fun.
Yes.
But you got to also be trying things too. You
Yep.
know what I mean? Trying things and putting yourself in positions, either like bad positions that you could then turn into like an advantageous spot. You know what I mean? But you got to do it by putting yourself there. Like a lot of most people don't want to in jiu-jitsu go on their back.
Yes.
And in a fight, you don't want to be on your back. You're going to be better off on top of someone. If you're on top of someone in a fight, you're winning that fight. Mm-hmm. But if you put yourself on your back enough, you can then develop offense from there where you can either sweep them or you can, submit them right from there. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a little bit about having that long-term perspective and those long-term goals. And you could probably, apply that to so many different things other than just, comedy, basketball, fighting.
Totally. But you create the environment where it's okay to fail. Right, like Kobe Bryant wanted to work on his left hand. Even the great Kobe Bryant first,
and it takes balls.
It takes time to get that left hand because I guarantee
it takes balls to like fail.
Yeah, but you got to be smart about it too, right? Because if you run your own room, you can fail, and it's not going to affect you. And then you can still do the other shows at the clubs and stuff like that where you have to, but you know what your material works, and you would have cultivated it. So I'm agreeing with you. Creating an environment that is ripe for constructive failure is very, very important, right? Because you don't want to go out and, you're at Gotham and trying out new shit and you eat shit in front of a booker. You don't get a second chance at a first impression.
Right, that first impression.
No, you got to bring it. So you have to have an environment where you can fail. And a lot of people just frankly don't want to put the work in. Producing a show is a pain in the ass. Getting 20 people to show up to watch you when you're a nobody is a pain in the ass. Mm-hmm. You gotta just like hit up friends, or what do you got out there papering, like handing out flyers and shit? Yeah, and here I am sitting here telling you this, and I know I got to start a room down here in Florida. I know I'm not getting up enough. I know I was rusty when I went up in New York.
We got to go back to Mickey's.
But it's a pain in the ass. I kind of don't want to do it.
Ripe for some comedy.
I think so. I think all of Fort Lauderdale, there's a terrible scene down here. It's just not good. Yeah. And, I know I can do it the same way I did in Jersey City with the JC Underground. We had that room popping. And that room, I owe whatever success I have to that room and getting up there and build. But that room was basically a full-time freaking job, getting that thing going, booking the comics, getting people to come. It was like a 50-person bringer show.
Yeah.
People were like, can you bring two couples? I'm not even going to charge them. Just, you got to bring them, all right?
Right.
I don't know 4 people. Bro, you don't know 4 people that want to watch you do comedy? Do something else. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
Get some better friends.
It's up to me to bring all 50 people for this room, and then I got to give you my time.
Yeah.
Why don't I just do 60 here?
Yeah.
Why don't I just run my special and record it? Like, why am I giving you my time?
That makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's kind of like.
So if you don't suck, reach out to G if you're in South Florida.
Yeah, we'll get a room going, man. It's really good. It's really there's nothing better than like a hot, like you said, a workout room. I know a lot of people love the Grizzly Pear. They call it the dojo because it kind of has that for comics, by comics environment, and people can work on stuff, and it's very low pressure environment, so that's good. If you're in your city, start it up, man. There's a bar with a basement. There's a bar with a basement and a light and a mic. Get 20 people, right? But don't tell jokes in front of 5 people either. It doesn't do you any good. You got to get the room, do the work, right? I mean, it's kind of the way it is. The same. It's no different. Selling tickets for us is part of the gig. Like I've said this on the show probably 3-4 times. I'll say it another 50. Comedy is the reward I get for doing my job. Getting booked and selling tickets is my job. That's the job. Comedy is the reward I get. It's my commission for doing the job. You know what I mean? So.
Hey, G, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
You've been around the entire U.S. doing comedy.
Yep.
Where do you think is the best comedy scene?
Nashville.
Nashville?
Nashville.
Why?
It's just a fun town. It's a fun environment. It's pretty politically neutral. There's more comedy in LA, but it's very cliquey. There's more comedy in New York, but it's oversaturated. And it's very, very, very difficult. New York is a great place to learn comedy. It's like comedy college. But once you've come up through those clubs and you were a bringer or an open micer, those clubs will only ever see you as a bringer and an open micer. It was very, very, very hard for you to rise organically through the New York or the LA comedy scene. Whereas if you went to Nashville, you can get up in these multiple rooms and there's tons of people there and you can do some serious time and you can put some tape out on the internet and get 100,000 fans. And then once you have 100,000 fans, LA will book you tomorrow. So it's getting up is the most important thing. Getting the tape is most important, second most important thing. You have to have eyeballs on you. That's all anybody gives a shit about anymore is what your following is and how many views you have. So the internet is way, way, way more important. So if you have an environment where you can get up often enough to get some good tape on the internet, and they're good rooms and they're hot rooms and it's not empty rooms and it's not a room full of comics that refuse to laugh at anybody but themselves, your tape is just going to be that much better. Columbus, Ohio is really good. It's a much, much, much smaller community, but the Funny Bone in Columbus is an incredible comedy room, and also there's a bunch of smaller college rooms out there. But I really, really like Nashville, and I owe a lot of whatever little success I have to Nashville. I also like Jersey City. I don't know what's going on in Jersey City post-COVID, but we had a good room going out there, and I'm sure there's a lot of other guys that do as well now. And that's kind of New York adjacent, but it's kind of like Mickey was saying before a little bit. It's kind of a make your own destiny thing, right? If you're going the club way, no matter how good you are, you're still putting your destiny in the hands of another booker. You're putting your destiny in the hands of getting past and then getting up. And then, if you run your own room and if you handle your own social media, you can take a lot of this and put it in your hands. You can't put it all, but you can put a lot of it.
And Mick, if I had to ask you the same question, like to give advice to people that are kind of like the open micers of MMA, people who are like maybe have a few amateur bouts and it's going fine, how would you recommend that they go about like advancing their career? Let's say you're talking to you at 21 and you're asking yourself for advice.
I would say if you love it, spend as much time as you can like doing it, because there's so many skills you have to master between like wrestling, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, boxing, Muay Thai, there's just a lot. So you got to spend as much time doing it for sure. Getting around good people is good, is important because you got to sharpen your skills against, sharp people. It's like that iron sharpens iron thing. As far as like places that are big, obviously I don't know if New York City is quite what it used to be like MMA wise. I think the hotbeds are kind of like California, like around the LA area, South Florida for sure. There's gyms everywhere now, and as the sport's growing, like so are like the gyms and the availability. But like especially like the Northeast is gonna have there's a lot of great like Pennsylvania, Ohio, like great wrestling like areas, and then you go towards like Jersey and New York have like some of the great grappling. Because you mix that wrestling with the jiu-jitsu, so those are really strong places. But then you can even go to spots like Thailand's gonna have dope like kickboxing. They have some good camps out there.
That'd
but
be fun. You went down to like Brazil and like Thailand
and do some jiu-jitsu.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? But you can find it all. Like my gym here, Killcliff, has got it all. It's got everything.
Do you think it's wise for guys to take on as many amateur fights as they can before they turn pro?
I do.
You do?
I do. I think, the more you can, the better you're going to just get at that skill. You know what I mean? Because it's different in the gym versus being actually out there. So, the more practice you get, the better you're going to be. So if you get like 15, 20 amateur fights and then go pro, you're already seasoned. You've already, made the walk, felt the jitters, you know what I mean? Felt all the vibes. So you're going to be a little better suited.
When does a guy know he should go pro? Like what's the big difference between the two?
Everyone's going to be a person to person basis. Like, John Jones is going to be able to go pro sooner than certain guys with like a large like wrestling background, could go sooner. But at the same time, like you know, there's just so much to master. So that's why I think the best thing to do would just be to spend as much time honing your craft. You know, that's how you're going to get good at anything.
Well,
Spend as much time on the mats and not doing like shit work. Like, it's easy to just go in there and spar and roll because that shit's fun. But you got to actually be like learning and then drilling like with intention, you know?
Well, you
practicing.
won. As soon as you got to the UFC, you won. So I mean, you had only had one pro fight before you in the UFC.
Yeah, but I'm an anomaly like that.
Do you wish you would have had more fights before you went into the UFC?
I would have been better suited, but you know, I've been happy to kind of learn at the big show. You know what I mean? Like I know myself enough where I'm not, you know, gonna let like the highs get too high and the lows get too low. And you know, if I gotta lose some fights that I would have won had I been like take LJ, it's like my little brother.
Yep.
Like, I want him to be 7-0, 8-0, 9-0, 10-0, and then, you know, we'll do Contender Series or get him in to the UFC or something. Just because it's better off. Like, you look at like Khabib. I think Khabib fought like guys who's like 1-4, 1-8, 2-12, you know what I mean? Like how the boxing way does it really builds people up. But in MMA, it's kind of like two tough guys, let's get them fighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's local MMA, and that's, you know, at the highest level as well. You know, it's not like there's no really like picking and choosing fights. Like, you know, if you're really about this, they offer you a fight, you're like, yeah.
That's just it.
That's it. That's just the way it goes. So but I think with like guys who I can help, I tell them like, yeah, let's rack up as many fights as we can on the local scene. And I don't think that's a bad method that what Khabib did. I think he was like 15-0 when he got in the UFC.
Sure.
He wasn't fighting anyone that good, but he was getting reps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he kept getting reps at it. He would build, you know, confidence, get comfortability with fighting in the cage.
So you think you should go pro at the local level or amateur for those 10, 15 fights?
Amateur at the local level. You could do 15 of both.
Okay.
You know, you do 15 amateur, and then you know, maybe 10 if you're like, you know, making noise and
at that level you fighting
throwing up some highlights. Then yeah, you can get in there in 10 or less.
But you're not fighting 2 times a year at that level, right? You're fighting.
You should be fighting more often.
Okay.
I'd say like once a month or so.
Really?
Yeah.
You would do 10 fights in a year?
Huh?
You would do 10 fights in a year, amateur?
Why not? If you can. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's hard for them to stay together, though, because it's a sport where people get hurt and pull out of fights. Like, I had the team I was supposed to go back to Jersey fighting, like next week or so. But his guy just got pulled out. So now I'm eating that plane ticket.
Oof.
Yeah.
Hang with him.
Yeah.
No, I was
Go
going to
fight me
say
for
for
Mickey's plane
context
ticket.
about the Khabib thing. The first time that Khabib fought an opponent with any wins on his record at all was his 6th fight. So his first 3 bouts were against people who were making their debut. His 3rd one was against a guy who only lost 4 fights, and then he had 2 more people who were on their debut. And then when he was 6-0, he fought someone that was 2-0. That was the first time he fought.
And that's the way like boxers traditionally do it. Is they come up like fighting tomato cans. You know, if you got a guy who's good, like a Mike Tyson, and like, you know what I mean, they're like, this guy's good. Like they kind of, and you have good management, they build you appropriately. They'll take you down to Mexico, and you know you'll have a bunch of fights down there, and you really like build. You know,
Do you know what
you
the
fight
term-
less than what?
Do you know where the term tomato can comes from?
I've heard of it. I don't remember.
It's one of my favorites. Do you know where the term tomato can comes from? Ben, Omri?
You've already explained it to me, so I can't say that I do without you.
It's heavy and it looks like it's metal, so it'd be tough, but it's very easily, you drop it on the floor, it's very easily dented. It's a fake tough guy.
Huh.
Yeah, it's the idea. It's very easily dented, but it looks like it's heavy and metal.
Yeah,
It's the idea of
it looks tougher than it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like jobbers in wrestling, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So we heard it here first, folks, on Slick and Thick. Omri McGregor calls Khabib a can. Says this guy.
No, he said he fought cans.
So this
I
guy,
don't worry, I got you, Omri.
He said this guy.
Yeah, I don't think that's even like controversial at this point.
He's a cherry picker. Got cut off. Yeah. When do you think a management gets involved in this stuff? Do guys in your business have management from the jump, or do they win
Some guys
fights?
do. But I think in the beginning, you should just be like using your friends and like the older guys in the gym to be like, hey, can you get me a fight here? Can you get me a fight here? And, you know, you just go and fight. If you're an amateur and you lose, who cares? It gets wiped out once you go pro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's where you learn.
Interesting.
So, yeah, you just go for it.
So, Lou, if you want to be a fighter, you go like so. What should you win? Like 5, 6, 7 fights in a row before you go pro? You got like get some sort of
Yeah,
run
something
going.
like that. Yeah, something like that.
Take your L's up,
And
front.
hopefully you have real people around you who can, like, you know, tell you, like, you know, hey, kid, like, let's hold your horses a little bit. Or you get like someone who's gonna, you know, or at the same rate, be like, hey, I think it's time for you to go pro. Some guys might not even be comfortable with it. They're like, oh, it could be like kind of more daunting to them, you know. And some are gonna be impatient, are gonna want to go pro right away, you know.
What type of money are pro fighters making at the local, regional level?
Not that much. At the local regionals, could be like 1,000 and 1,000. Could be like a nice one would be like a 2,000 and 2,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Some guys are making 300 and 300.
Minor league baseball money, baby.
Yeah. and when I say the two numbers, it's 300 to show up, which means get in the cage, and then you get another 300 if you win.
How much of that goes to your trainers and your?
All depends, but yeah, if you have management who like sets that up, they could take a 15%. If your gym fees, you got a lot. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Going in
Yeah,
there
but
fighting for
that's
free.
why I think there's similarities between fighting and comedy, because you're doing bringer shows and open mics, and it's not because you're not doing it for you're hoping to get somewhere, but you're doing it for the love of it, and also to develop yourself. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Sometimes you gotta eat shit to get your way up.
Word up. Yeah, you got to do it. There's no getting around it too. It's also very similar in that there's just nothing that's going to prepare you for getting hit like getting hit, and there's nothing that's going to prepare you for dealing with that silence like just eating shit.
Yeah.
Eat shit, get back on stage, and move forward.
Getting hit and eating shit.
Get hit and eating shit.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be my 30-year-old my 30-year-old yearbook quote. Getting hit and eating shit.
Yeah.
Lift heavy and fuck often.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, what do you got, Omri?
I just making a note of that to add that to the list of fucking merch that we're gonna make alongside eat fruit and don't trust the government.
Drink water and don't trust the government.
Drink water and don't trust the government.
That's definitely our first T-shirt. Is drink water, don't trust the government for sure. Yeah, the other one is eat shit. What was it? Get hit and eat shit.
Yeah, eat shit and get hit.
Yeah, getting hit and eating shit.
Getting hit and eating shit.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Oh, we got some alpha advice. We're gonna finish up on some comments if there's any in the chat. And we came across this, and I wanted to have this discussion with Mick. What his thoughts were on this. According to Alpha Advice, at Alpha Advice on Instagram, because at Andrew Tate was taken. You have, if you can't fight, have no muscle mass, and are inexperienced with girls, you're subconsciously insecure. Thousands of years ago, you would be picking berries with the females. Your DNA knows deep down you're just a berry picker, not a G. So you become a passive-aggressive dork. Thoughts? Men used to settle their differences by fighting and shaking hands backwards. Oh, shaking hands afterwards, I'm sorry. Nowadays, they give each other cold shoulder, passive-aggressive, female-like behavior instead. Bunch of quote-unquote men ignoring each other, thinking they got the upper hand. Too many berry pickers in 2023. Thoughts?
I mean, there's definitely something to that, but it's also, like we were saying before, we're kind of raised to and like taught in schools to be not to be aggressive, to be passive and kind of accepting of things and not disagreeable. While that's important for us to be aggressive and disagreeable, and all those things, not sit back and take shit.
Yes.
Yep.
I think that right there is an important statement that's going to be misused and abused by the wrong people. I
think that it's like, if you can't fight and you have no muscle mass and you experience with girls, you know what I mean? Yep. Like, it is a little like douchey, but, 1,000 years ago. Yeah. But I guess there's I don't know. I think anyone who's anyone who's feeling like, all right, if I can't fight, go train some
Learn how
martial
to fight.
arts. You have no muscle mass, go to the gym, take some creatine,
Yep.
drink a lot of water. An experience with girls, go put yourself out there. Go put yourself out there. Throw some spaghetti up on the wall. Go say hi to some girls.
Yep.
You know, and then boom, 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 you could solve all those problems. Or you just sit on the couch and be passive aggressive and bitch about shit.
I think it's the perfect button for today's episode because the woke moment that we've lived through for the last, let's be real, like 15 years has been intentionally, aggressively an attack on all of the kind of masculine properties that our country was founded on. So now the reaction to that attack is for this hyper red pill movement to come out and say, well, everything the woke said is wrong, right? So if the woke are wrong, then we must be right. We got to be very careful for this binary, right? There's something to that. There's something to embracing masculinity and embracing the traditional values that made this the most successful civilization in the history of our species. But that doesn't also mean that there isn't virtue in being a berry picker, right? There doesn't mean that, just because you can't deadlift 500 pounds, I can't code, right? There's evolution of our species as well. So
Yeah, I think well said.
you know what I'm
Well
saying?
said,
So
Everyone has different gifts and attributes.
yeah, I
100%.
think it comes down to be an actively bring something to society, right? So many people are getting paid today
People just want to be YouTubers,
for the very first time.
and that's back to the Chinese kids with the guns.
Yep.
Like, we got a bunch of purple hair wannabe YouTubers.
Yep. That are criticizing.
Meanwhile,
That are criticizing. They're
they're criticizing.
They're critical. They're actually adding nothing. I don't think the YouTuber itself is the problem. It's what is successful on YouTube that's the problem. It's the critical nature. Like Stephen A. Smith might be the most famous person in sports right now. He does nothing. He comments on the actions of other men. He adds nothing. He creates conversation. He's actually actively adding nothing to society. But he's mega wealthy because of it. Skip Bayless has added nothing.
Yeah.
Except conversation.
And controversial statements kind of shitting on the men in their arenas.
He has made millions off of the backs of the activity of other better men.
Yeah.
Right? I think that there's a big problem here. I think that people have to be very careful, and this woke movement has to be very, very, very careful, because if the economy specifically takes a bounce, right? I don't know if your family's ever gone through any sort of economic downturn, but dad is a lot happier when fucking the cupboards are full.
Sure.
There's a lot of shit that dad lets the kids get away with, and there's a lot of silliness that he laughs off when he's not stressing every moment of every day. When the cupboards get bare, all that other shit gets
Yeah. That's when shit's going to get a little stressful. That's when
you
shit
don't-
gets real.
That's when shit gets real.
Yeah.
So if we go through an extended period of economic downturn, I think a lot of people's patience for this shit is going to really, really wane. And then I fear that there's going to be such a backlash where people are like, I lost everything because you blue-haired motherfuckers couldn't just leave well enough alone. And that is a dangerous place to be.
Yeah.
Right? So I really believe in the principle of it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in war.
Right.
I believe in that. And I believe in what you're saying when it comes down to, hey, acknowledge this and train these things. There's always room for
there's something you could do.
Always room
you
for
don't have to,
self-improvement.
resign yourself to that fate.
Yep, but I don't want to get into this red pill environment where the gardener is the bad guy for being a gardener.
That's red pill. The gardener's a bad guy for being a gardener.
Yeah, I think the red pill's going too far. I think the red pill movement is going too far. But I also think it was always going to happen. This is Hegelian dialectic, man. This is the hard left.
It's like a rubber band effect,
100%.
kind of.
The hard woke left was always going to bring out a hard right. That false binary of they lied to us about the vaccine, so all medicine must be bad.
Right.
That's not the answer either.
Yeah, we got to meet in the middle.
Yeah. Yep.
Get rid of the bad shit on both ends.
Yeah. And I wonder if we can't do that, or if part of the reason we can't do that is because
Now you're talking more sense to me.
because they don't apologize for being wrong. Part of us is like, I don't care if it hurts me. I want to hurt them. I don't care.
And what was that? What did you say? Dialectic?
Hegelian dialectic.
Galilean dialectic?
Hegelian, Hegel.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, we don't have enough time today. We'll go into it another day.
Oh, thank God. Cool. I'm sorry I asked. I got another one from...
really quick. Here.
you want to talk more?
It's the pendulum. You use the rubber band effect.
Yeah.
The Hegelian dialectic is this constant struggle. How society moves forward is it pushes from one extreme to another, and then it breaks, and then it pushes from that extreme to the other. So if this extreme is bad, then this extreme must be good. And the only period of health and happiness in humanity is that little middle period where we're pushing off of one extreme before we get to the other extreme. So we're getting, if you believe in the Hegelian dialectic, we're getting to the end of pushing away from one extreme towards another, and then we're going to get into an extreme, waste a couple generations on fucking human depravity, come back away from that, and then,
Then maybe we meet in the middle somewhere? Or?
Yeah, and then take another 100 years.
Another 100 years.
Another 100 years for good happiness, It's
So you think after this woke stuff that it's going to go the total opposite way?
Yeah.
And people are going to be doing what?
I think unless cooler heads prevail and unless we have really solid leadership for the first time in what's going to end up being 30, 40 years, I think you risk... look, we had Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is... Whatever the woke is on the left, she is on the right. She's a hardline right-winger. This is President's Day. She's a sitting member of Congress. And she said that, we need a national divorce. There's just no way.
A national divorce?
A national divorce. She said there's nothing blue states and red states have in common. Why are we even acting like we do? We can't govern the same because we don't view the world the same.
Like a secession?
Yeah,
or a
break
divorce?
up. Just break up the nation of states. Break up and, maintain some sort of federation, but break up. And that's a sitting member of Congress.
She said that today?
Yeah, on President's Day. She tweeted that out. And it got hundreds of thousands of retweets. So she's not alone in her thinking. I think that there's a lot of people that did a lot of things wrong and are getting away with it. And we've talked about it before. Humans we're not made for conflict without resolution. It sits on us forever.
Yeah, it just festers.
It festers and it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And, people think about ways of escalating that. And Twitter and social media in general, they created this environment of non-stop conflict with zero conflict resolution.
Yeah. That's why disagreeableness is good, but then there's also a fine line where, like, a contrarian is just annoying as fuck.
Yeah.
Where it's, if you actually have, like, good information and, like, strong beliefs, like, yeah, speak up for yourself. Tell your truth.
Provide a solution.
Yeah.
If you're going to be a cynic like me, understand a contrarian is just an asshole because contrarian is just somebody who never wants to be wrong. Right?
They always just say otherwise.
Yeah.
It's
either I told you so, or if things worked out great, they get to live in this environment where things worked out great.
Right.
What's better than that?
Yeah.
The contrarian's like, if you do this, it's going to be bad. And if it's not bad, they get to live in a good world. And if it is bad, they get to say, I told you so. So if you deal with a cynic, as someone who is one like me, think of that stoicism. Okay, proffer some solutions. Mm-hmm. What solutions? Okay, let's say you're right. What are the solutions? It's one of the things I love about Ron Paul. Ron Paul, and I know Omri's a Bernie Sanders guy. Ron Paul and Bernie Sanders, if you listen to what they say the problems are in America today, they will list the exact same problems. And now they're supposed to be on the opposite ends of the political spectrum. Ron Paul, libertarian, and Bernie Sanders, Democratic Socialist. They will list the exact same things wrong with America. They will identify the same issues. The difference is the solutions that they offer. And the devil's in the details.
I just want to point out that I'm not a Bernie guy. I just brought up in the pre-production meeting that I don't hate him, and I think he's not a bad guy.
Fake news. Omri's fake news.
No, Gerard's just passing along misinformation.
Yeah, it's all going to be AI soon enough anyway, boys. Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got anything else from the chat, Omri? We got like 5 minutes.
Nothing major, just... honestly, do you want to give some guy advice about his recovery?
What kind of recovery?
I think it's Ricky Ricardo. It's the guy who we talked about him last week. He fucked up his shoulder, and he's wondering if he should go on 156 BPC. You know what that is?
Yeah,
We're not
BPC
doctors,
157. Yeah, why the hell not?
We're not doctors.
He's got
We
the money
cannot-
for it. Go for
We
it.
cannot give medical advice under any circumstance. We wish you the best luck.
Yeah,
Please.
actually, and you know what's funny about that is I think that stuff is like, even when they like give it to you,
What is it?
It says BPC 157. It's a peptide. Supposed to
What
help
are
healing.
peptides? I keep hearing about
I
this
don't
stuff
know
all the
exactly. I don't know exactly. But like there's stuff that's like, I think our like we make BPC 157 somewhere in us, but then they also like isolate it and then you can like inject it.
Oh, okay.
But I think like all that stuff is like gray area stuff where it's like, this is not for human consumption, but you know, humans take it because it's like they have to kind of cover their ass, whoever makes it,
Yeah.
and say it's not for human consumption.
Yep.
You know,
It's better to be a peptide in the garden, folks. Hey,
better to be a peptide in the garden, huh?
thank you guys so much for tuning in to this live episode. We'll be live again next week on Monday, but we got a really,
Maybe.
really, really special episode this Friday. You got to check it out. If you don't know about it, we have 2 actual heroes coming on Friday, guys that are fighting off some of the worst human beings on earth and really helping the kids, and that's going to be out Friday. Check out that episode this Friday at 1 o'clock. For Omri, for Ben, for Slick Mick the Ruler, this has been Slick and Thick on Gas Digital Network. Tell everybody you know. Use code SNT to listen for free for 1 week. We will see you on Friday.